Hey, so I first had to eat this delicious, juicy hamburger. Got got room service this morning with a Hopper, beer, really good. It's a little bit sweet, but it's got a little bit of a kick, kind of like an IPA. I don't like IPAs. I don't know. What do you drink? Liquor, gin, vodka? I don't know. Curious. But wanted to just talk about part two. Part two of the video was about Bayesian statistics. Bayesians say that the probability of an event is conditional on the past events. And as more data is collected, the prior is updated. And the likelihood of an event depends on the past. ChatGPT is constantly collecting users' data, and as people are putting their information into GPT, and as it's scanning the internet, it's updating its prior, and then you can think of the answers as the outcome, or the future probability, the future prediction, because GPT really has, well, they haven't said that they incorporated the time component into when the model was trained. Usually when you are putting in data, you will weight it proportionally based on the recency or the data extraction date. Well, they I don't know how many years back they trained. If it was 10 years back, 5 years back, they used when they were training GPT. Like, typical machine learning models will use like no less than 5 years. But the way that pre-training works is that the training is done with the assumption that the future data will be consistent, right? Let's say I'm eating a hamburger, and the hamburger, I'm predicting that the next bite of the hamburger is going to taste like all the previous bites. But I don't know if the burger would change. Say someone came in and gave me a chicken sandwich. It wouldn't taste like the steak in the hamburger. Well, GPT was based on the pre-ChatGPT internet, right? And once that's been published, people are no longer making questions on Chaora and Stack Exchange and Reddit, and researchers are no longer publishing in the same way that they were before GPT was released. And this creates a inconsistency because the time component is impactful. Like, it's changing how the model is being used, how it's being perceived. You're retired, perhaps. You maybe worked with computers when you were younger. Now it's your kids and your grandkids that are learning all about this in school, and maybe you want to go back. Or maybe you are, on the other side, just newly married or newly settled down. You're just starting out your career, and you want to figure out how you can leverage this technology to boost your experience. I can see that, like anything else in the world, it's not necessarily about how much work you put in. It's about how smart you are with what you do. Do you feel like you are using AI as a cheat code? The cheat code to give you superpowers? No. There's more regulation now that's being used. There's two pieces. OpenAI has competitors, right? There's Google, there's Facebook, there's Snapchat has its own Meta AI. There's Google Bard. There's OpenGPT. There's you should check out this thing called Private GPT, which lets you import source documents. It runs the GPT model on a version of Java that you have to compile and then run through your local computer, and so it does the processing within your memory instead of sending it out to the cloud. I'm going to give you an example here. When I was with Expedia on the SQL server, we had huge latencies in queries of the database. And the solution from the IT department was simply to put additional partition columns onto all queries. They had to add filters to the date ranges. So instead of filtering through all dates in a data table, it would only look at certain years. And this was intended to reduce the volume of data queries, but the effect was that as soon as they implemented this change, all of the queries that our team had spent months working on suddenly had to be modified to accommodate this change. That's why you should look at my older video where I talk about ChatGPT from 2023 when it was first released. This kind of gives you a historical perspective of how it was used. I started using this right away. I knew when this came out that this was going to be massive, and so I put everything into it. I started buying the subscriptions. I read all the blogs. I'm in the Facebook groups for GPT prompts and prompt engineering, the Austin AI futurism community. I realized that this year, 2024, I've got some other things planned. How predictive analytics is being used by you all, and I've heard some cool stories about people who have taken the PA course and then built new models that have gotten them promoted and moved up to manager position. One gentleman had a logistic regression model. Senior analysts deployed this model over several months. They were promoted, and that was coming from the course that they had taken. Really good to hear when I have good feedback. Of course, not everyone has positive feedback. I think I'm gonna end the video here.